Recording. There we go. We're going to break the internet. We've got Leslie and Leslie.
Leslie squared.
Love it. Fantastic. All right. Welcome back to Writer's Circle. We are here because we check in every week on the writing, the creative process, the 4 phases of creation, and then we commiserate. And really just check in what you need logistically, emotionally, tools, resources, pep talk, to get from where you are to where you're going. I know each of you really well, but let's get to know each other a little bit better. What are you working on? Where are you in the process? What are you proud of? Because I'm just going to keep drilling in accomplishments and celebrations. And then where are you stuck and what do you need? So Leslie Goth, will you go first?
So I am going through the edits or the feedback that I got on my manuscript. And definitely, the struggle was getting the feedback because that was very humbling. Letting that in and then, opening myself up. A lot of the feedback was that I just needed to be more vulnerable and so I am, and I've opened myself up and really shared a lot of my own personal experiences. My book is for sexual assault survivors. And so I had to, kind of get into that and share some of my own experiences that I get it. And so I did that, went through all the chapters, saw how I could, integrate my story with what I was teaching and client stories and things like that. So I've done that. And then I went through and I changed the order of all the chapters. Yep. Because originally I had a certain order where I felt like it was a real journey from start to finish. And then one of my beta readers, who's also a professional, this is her specialty as well, thought I should change the order and move some of the end chapters to the beginning because the chapters that I originally had in the beginning were going to be too triggering.
Yeah, a little rough.
Yeah. And so it just didn't feel right to me. The order that I had changed it to didn't feel right. I felt like
the suggested order. Yeah.
Yeah, it just was not going to be a cohesive journey. And so I've redone the order. And now I'm going through all the chapters, just making sure now it flows, that I'm not saying something from like chapter 8 that I'm like, just making sure that I'm referencing things. So I'm almost done with that. I've got 4 more chapters to do with that. My question is, should I send it back to another beta reader, a new beta reader, before I resubmit to you guys for the review?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, because you were so in it when you submitted the first time, but now you're so in it.
Yeah.
And we shared this before, but when it comes to letting somebody else read your work, be very intentional about who that person is, and be explicit about what you're asking them to do.
Right.
So even just what you shared with me just now, you'd say, this is the rework, right?
Right.
Here's what I'm not interested in changing because I've already ridden that rodeo a couple of times and it's not up for debate. Here's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And it can be a list. It can be 1 bullet point. It can be 7 bullet points. Here's what I want to know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where do you feel it? Where do you not feel it? Am I talking about something, right? You're going through with a lice comb. Am I talking about something in chapter 2 that I don't actually get to until chapter 7 because of this? Like, what do you really need from them? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the more clear you are with yourself and the more explicit you are with your beta readers, the more likely you are to get feedback that's going to be worthwhile. You're still going to have to sift through it. You're still going to get something that you specifically said, please don't tell me this, and they're going to do it because we're human and that's what happens.
Yeah.
But it involves you making decisions and choosing who and saying what.
Right.
Just sort of side example, my daughter's hungry and she's like, I want food. Well, great. Well, I will make food and you're going to get food. Like, mommy, I'm hungry for dinner. I really liked that, shepherd's pie that I got at camp this summer. Can we make something like that? Yes, we can. But if you just say I'm hungry, you're just gonna get calories.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
A scoop full of lard will keep you alive until tomorrow, but it's gross. Right?
Sure.
So that does a couple things. It's part of the process for you. And then I don't know how much reading of other people's work you've done, but it makes it so much just energetically and intellectually easier as
Mhm.
the reader for someone when they've like, these are the game rules instead of what do you
Yeah,
think?
absolutely.
Script. That's a
Absolutely.
statement I never want anyone to ever say or hear because it's not fair. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would think on that, think about who a person is. Remember that there's this whole community of authors
Yeah.
and there are a bunch of survivors in that community. And you can say, I am looking for a survivor
Okay.
to read this because
Okay. Okay.
my audience is survivors, right?
Okay.
If you're getting a whole bunch of professionals to read it, you're going to get their whole professional opinion instead of your actual target audience feedback.
Yeah.
And they may also say, I need more at the beginning. I need more trigger warnings at the beginning. I need this. I need that. I need, yes, you can drop me in, but you have to tell me that you're about to drop me, right?
Okay.
Whatever the thing is, whatever the deepest concern, your fear of fears, ask so that you can
Okay.
get authentic feedback. I'm not
Okay.
guaranteeing you that you're going to get somebody from the group and that they're going to be a survivor, but
Yeah.
as you're thinking about it, I would have your antennae up for, I want my target reader to read this,
Yeah, definitely.
so
So you think I should do that in Facebook or school?
school.
Okay.
Well, you can do it in both. I am practicing breaking up with Facebook and I love it,
Okay.
but there are still 125 authors from our community that are on Facebook that haven't moved over. So
Okay.
you may find someone in the Facebook community who
Okay.
hasn't moved over, but yeah,
Okay. Thanks.
absolutely. And Miss Barber.
Good morning. Let's see. I let's what's the question? I need more coffee. It's election day, as you know.
Yeah.
It's like my
Yeah.
brain is mushy. Yeah,
Fair
now
enough.
what am I doing?
What are you working on? What are you celebrating? What are you stuck
Okay.
on? And just I know the answers and I could introduce you, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
That's okay. I know this. I know my answers.
Okay.
I started doing National Novel Writing Month like 10 years ago. It was fun to go on their site and see my whole history of books that I didn't finish, and some I did. Um, some years were harder than others. And some I took and kept going for a long time. So this book I started writing when I was just out of graduate school in 1996. I'm old. So, and I found my file that I had started the book in way back then, and I'm still missing on some pieces that I thought I had. But so it's kind of funny. Like I saved all my rejection letters from job hunting because this is a book about job hunting, and it's a funny look, but it's also like really embarrassing and painful to write some of the stuff that I did. Like I had a resume I wrote in pencil once, stuff like that. This before computers. It's like, anyway, it's good stories. That the goal is, at the end that the reader is a job hunter. It's also human resources professionals who are hiring people, so they kind of understand where both people are coming from, and everyone has a little bit more realistic understanding and compassion for each other, because there's right now and always has not been any compassion in that area. And I've spent way too much time job hunting in my life. And I have all my chapters outlined. Like I went through and I got everything organized, outlined, got my hooks, I'm really like working better on this than I have on any other stuff I've written. For sometimes I just type for 2 hours and go, what did I write? I don't even know. So it's been fun being intentional.
Yeah.
And I've written, and hopefully this kind of energy keeps going through letting me finish a bunch of my other stuff I've written and do something with it. Because I have reams of books I've written and nothing has happened. And it's like I gotta let it out. And I do have a fear of letting other people read it. I mean, that's a big one, especially the
Yeah.
more personal stuff. I have some pretty, hard things, but it's also good.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's me.
Well, and so you heard what I was saying to Leslie, because there's a concept that I learned from Lisa Lister, who's this incredible badass witch author that I know. And she taught me this concept, and I absolutely did not get it when she presented it. And it's called contained exposure. Because for me, my brain was just like, nope, I don't understand. But it's really about being very aware and intentional of what you share, when you share, with whom you share, and as I was saying to Leslie, what you ask for in return.
Mhm.
And I always give the example of like when I want somebody to tell me that there's a typo on my website, I can trust my dad to unsolicited just send me a message and they tell me that there's a typo on my publishing company's website. He won't tell me which page it's on or what word it is, or just like that somewhere on the 397 landing pages that we've created in the past, there is a misspelled word, and that doesn't serve my process. But when I want somebody to tell me that I'm doing great and that I have valuable things to share, then I turn to my mom. But I also wonder sometimes if she's just blowing smoke up my butt. So I need both at different times, right? And you don't have to share everything, and you certainly don't have to share it with everybody. It's just really digging into knowing, not even knowing, maybe we screwed up. We share the wrong thing at the wrong time with the wrong person and get the feedback we didn't want. But then we look at it like, oh, that did not feel good. Which one of those variables, or because you can share a chapter in isolation and say, this is the thing that I really want to encourage everybody to do. I want you to ask for exactly what you need. It's crazy. So you can share a chapter and say, I need you to tell me it's amazing. I need you to tell me I'm a great writer. I need you to tell me that I am brave and a badass. Whatever the truest thing that you want to hear from them happens to be, I want you to know it and ask for it. So I have people come to me and they're like, I want you to rip this apart. And I will when somebody asks explicitly for it. I won't, even if it needs it sometimes, if somebody says, I want you to tell me that this is amazing, right? But then how do I know? Unless somebody tells me explicitly what they need, how do I know? I am a lot of things, but I'm not psychic. If somebody's like, I think this can be better, help me make it better. That's great. I love that. And it's those are sort of the logistics around it, but then it's its own emotional roller coaster that we still all go through. I'm just gonna do my quick check-in. I am flailing at National Novel Writing Month. Leslie and I both signed up. And I did my solo writing retreat 2 weeks ago and realized that I was just so damn tired that I didn't really have it in me, and I just needed to rest. I tried and tried and tried and tried, and nothing was really working. So I rested. And with National Novel Writing Month, actually, there's so much resistance, just so funny because it's like, it feels like the easiest thing to write. And I talk about it all the time, and I should just be able to do it underwater while asleep with my eyes closed. And I stumbled on something, I think winning a book award has freaked me out a little bit. And I'm like all up in my head about it. I'm like, my last book was an award-winning book, and the next one's not gonna be. Anyway, it's a thing. It's not a real thing, but it's a thing. So I share that because
You're human.
we all have it, and it's really, really important that I don't fall into the trap of like, I'm a publisher, I've published 17 times, and therefore I am a magical unicorn, and it's always easy for me, because it's not true. And sharing that, I think, is valuable for everybody, that we all go through it, and then we all get through it in our own way. So, I love seeing your progress on National Novel Writing Month, though. I'm like, I first saw it and I was like, is that my percentage? I don't think I've written 11% of my book already. I'm sure I haven't. I was like, oh yeah, that's not me. So, but it's my competitive spirit has been brewed. So thank you. Delita, welcome, my dear. We're checking in what we're working on in case people in the group don't know you or what you're working on and where you are, what's going well and what you're struggling with.
Hello. So yes, my name is Jelitza. I'm in Colombia right now, but I'm also Canadian, but I was born in Venezuela. So there you have it. I'm working on my shitty first draft for my first ever book, which is gonna be all about health. I am a fitness professional, so I decided I would write this book for especially women who find it hard to actually be healthy. And I want to show them that it's easier than they think. I mean, you don't have to go an hour a day to the gym and eat broccoli and chicken for the rest of your life. And I'm doing this not as a guide as to, okay, this is what you should do, this, but more from the point of view of my experience. So I'm gonna tell you my story because I did all the diets, I took all the pills, did everything in the book, and I'm gonna have you read my story from that perspective, and I'm gonna show you how I ended up that vicious cycle of the diets and the pills and the overtraining and all that. And yeah, I'm hoping to have my first draft, the shitty first draft, done by the end of the year. Don't know if it's gonna happen, but it's my goal.
Perfect. I love it. The beginning of your book sounds like everything to do to not be healthy, right?
Yeah.
Like, do all these things. I promise you they won't work.
That's not it. That's not where it's at.
Gorgeous. So coming back just to the cycle of creation cycle. So resting. Anybody rest over the weekend? A little bit, kind of. Yeah, I know. Not so much. Something I'm not very good at these days. I can tell other people how, but I'm finding lots of obstacles. So after resting comes planning. Again, the what and the when and the where. So even just I hear it when you speak because you're already doing these things, right? Leslie Goth, when you were talking about your process, you're like, this is what I did, and this is what I'm going to do, and here's my next, and here's my next. And my question is about what's one of the things that I should do, right? Delita, if we have a goal and we're 2 months from the end of the year. So by the end of this month, where do you need to be? Right? It can be a word count thing. It can also be your shitty first draft. The whole shitty first draft could be done at the end of this month because you share this many stories and then you revise it, right? Like depending on what you're trying to accomplish. But then it's, when am I doing this? Where am I doing this? Am I going to sleep this month or am I going to not sleep this month? You know, how are we showing up on the page? then it's the actual doing of the thing. The getting the ideas out, the words on the page, and then revision. And that process over and over again, remembering that it's not a straight line, that it's not just writing. Right. Leslie Barber, you've got notes from 30 years ago, right? And so how do we, and outlining, I love that you brought up the outlining. Every chapter has an outline, every chapter has its hook, every chapter follows a format, and like, I want to make sure every chapter I do this, this, and this, right? That, all of that's planning. And in my opinion, it is the most powerful part when you figure out what it is that you want to say, right? You're doing all of the heavy lifting of the actual book. It's the decisions, it's the organization of ideas, it's transitions, and you're doing it in the outlining phase. It's a lot easier because now Leslie Goth has done all the really, really heavy lifting. Like, I wrote the chapter, now I'm going to move it over here. No, I'm going to move it back. And it's a lot of work, and this is okay, because I've definitely done it all of these different ways. But you've heard me give the example of the blueprint of your kitchen. I'm going to do a kitchen remodel. Let's put the sink over there. Great. Build the whole thing, lay the pipes, put the tile up. You know what? I don't want the sink over there. I want the sink right back here. It makes more sense. It can be done, but it can be done so much easier if you do it in the blueprint phase before you lay the pipes and the tile on top. I've never done a kitchen remodel, and every time I talk about it, it sounds horrific. So I probably never will. But based on that, I want each of you just to say which energy, which phase feels like the one that you are in today. Is it the dreaming, the planning, the doing, or revision? Revision, doing.
I'm doing because of planning, but I'm
Yep.
also kind of revising like my titles as I go and start writing, and then I'm like going back up and like moving them around at the beginning because it makes more sense as I'm going. Like, oh yeah, that flows better. So.
Yeah, and there's not a right way, right? It's just acknowledging, oh, I am doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this. If that works, that works. If it feels totally frenetic, then I'm like, yeah, then you can do all 4 phases in a single day. So my proposal, my suggestion to us, is that we take the next 30 minutes and do. We take 30 minutes, Leslie, go keep working on the edit, right? Take 30 minutes. I just gifted you, your day just got 30 minutes longer because I'm not talking to you about it. Let's just do it. But I'm going to check back in with you in 30 minutes. And for the last 4 minutes of the hour, you're going to say how it went. Deal? Questions? Nope. Okay. I'm going to turn off my audio and my video, and I'll check back in with you.